guys are beating him up! You guys are beating him up! Why are you beating him up? Why are you beating him up?
Shut up!
Why are you beating him up?
Shut the fuck up!
Why are you hitting him?
Shut the fuck up and shit out of her!
He's out of the
They're hitting him!
Shut up! Right now.
We don't even know you stupid.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate your efforts and your time for coming here. We hear and understand the community's concerns about the video being shared on social media. However, this video does not provide context of what led up to the struggle with Mr. Cannon. I would like to add that context for you. On May 7th, 2019, Trinell Cannon, with a date of birth of 1/3/1999, was arrested by officers from the San Diego Police Department on outstanding warrants for felony possession of a firearm and robbery. Detectives and officers were conducting surveillance of Cannon in the area of 600 East Street in the city of Chula Vista related to his active felony warrants. Detectives found Cannon and requested officers, uniformed officers, place him under arrest. Uniformed officers drove to the location and ordered Cannon to surrender. However, he refused and ran from the officers. An officer gave chase. Although they lost him momentarily, they did recover a firearm for where witnesses stated that Cannon had just last been seen. And we'll provide you a picture of that firearm. So we lost him momentarily. Detectives then found Cannon in the area of 1100 4th Avenue, again in the city of Chula Vista. He was seen getting into a car which was occupied by 4 other individuals, and they drove towards Interstate 5. Officers conducted a traffic stop, and when the car stopped, an officer approached the front passenger door to prevent Cannon from running again. Instead of complying, Cannon lunged forward and tackled the officer to the ground, with the officer landing on his back. Believing Cannon possibly had another weapon, responding officers used a combination of physical force and distraction strikes to take him into custody while continuously giving him orders to surrender. Cannon refused to cooperate and struggled to keep his hands in front of his body. At one point, he pushed up against an officer's gun belt. Eventually, it took multiple officers to restrain and place handcuffs on Cannon. It's to note, and I want this as a very important point to note, once restrained and no longer a threat to officers, no additional force was used on Cannon. What we did afterwards, detectives from our internal affairs were notified and immediately responded. They will conduct an administrative investigation to determine if the officers and detectives complied with established department policy and procedures related to the use of force. They also will evaluate all available evidence, which includes department video footage, witness statements, and video captured by witnesses. Additionally, the criminal investigation against Cannon is ongoing, and additional charges may be filed while he remains in custody. As far as injuries, I'm very happy to say that there were no significant injuries to Mr. Cannon or our officers, although all of them suffered minor injuries such as abrasions. Transparency is key here, folks, and that's why you're seeing this. This is why you're seeing us respond to tell you the whole facts of what occurred, minus just a 12-second video clip of what was posted on social media. And to that end, that's why we're going to be releasing additional video footage from our helicopter and from a body-worn camera to show that context into detail. We are confident once the public sees the full video and learns what led up to this confrontation, the community will understand why our officers used the necessary force to take Mr. Cannon into custody. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Sorry. Are any of the officers on the video that was released undercover? Would you prefer they be blurred?
So here's what we're releasing. We're releasing a body-worn camera and a helicopter video. Several of the other videos that will be released at a later time will be part of the package that will be presented to the district attorney's office. Do have video of undercover officers, because surveillance was being done by undercover officers. So that's why we're not releasing that video at this time. All that would have to be redacted I cannot show video of officers' faces that work undercover for a danger to themselves.
But Chief, there's other video released by witnesses, and I'm just wondering if you have seen those and if you wish for us to cover their faces.
I would be very pleased if you would redact or stylize their faces to keep their identities.
The plainclothes
identifies-
officers?
No, of the plainclothes officers, yes.
Have officers come into contact with this individual before?
The question is,
officers come into
have officers had contact?
With him before, yeah.
Yes, several of the officers that were involved in this operation to locate Mr. Cannon for his felony warrants have had prior contact with him. And in fact, one was in late 2017. He was armed. Also, another one was in 2018. He again was armed. And in fact, the warrant for the ex-felon possession of firearm is from that incident. So he is known to be armed. In fact, officers, the last two times he was contacted, he was armed.
Can you say where the alleged robbery occurred?
I don't have all those details, and I also want to protect due process. So this is still a very new investigation, both on the administrative side and on the criminal side. And so as we move forward, we're going to provide that all to the district attorney's office. That will come out in arraignment, and as he moves forward in that process.
Chief, did you say what the felony arraignments were for?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question, sir.
Did you can you tell us what he was after the felony warrants?
The felony warrant, what they were for?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were for robbery and for a possession of a firearm.
We noticed on his booking sheet that there was a third charge
Yes.
for maybe false identification. Is that also something?
Yeah, it's a felony charge on the financial crimes. I believe he tried to pass a fraudulent check of over $10,000 or something to that extent. But yeah, it's from the financial crimes area.
Okay, let's end this press conference.
Can I ask one more question?
Okay, final question.
On video that a woman who identifies herself as his girlfriend has released to the media, you can see, and it's out of context, like you said, 12 seconds, but you can see some officers providing like a punching motion. Do you feel with everyone having access to cell phones, but then also your own officers having body-worn cameras, do you feel like in this situation, this is exactly why you feel like that's helpful to the investigation, having your officers have their perspective?
Well, I think it's important to share all perspectives. That 12-second video just shows a very small portion of force. And when you look at force, officers are using force. They're using distraction strikes to his torso to take him into custody. He's got his arm up. He's violently resisting. Officers believe he's armed. In fact, one officer states that he thought that Cannon was trying to grab his firearm and take his firearm from him. And so when you look at the totality of this, I think it's important to have all video because all of it tells a story versus just a very short clip of actually, when you really look at that video, it's probably only about 7 seconds of actual video because it veers away. I've looked at all the video from both what I saw on social media and what's available to us from body-worn cameras. And I can tell you, I believe my officers did the right thing. I believe they used the right amount of force to take a very violent and dangerous person into custody. But to ensure everything and to ensure transparency and to ensure that everything was done right, that's why we have launched that administrative investigation. And that's why you saw Internal Affairs immediately respond last night and interview both Mr. Cannon and witnesses. So it's very important that we look at all of this. So I'm asking everybody to kind of press pause and look at everything in totality. And I think when everybody does that, the public will be very confident that our officers used the necessary force to take a very violent, dangerous person out of the community.
Was he armed this time? You said in the past he'd been armed. Was he armed in this during this interaction? I know you said an officer thought that was he reaching for an actual gun?
Well, as he ran, so we lost him momentarily. Where witnesses told us he jumped fences, there was a loaded .45 caliber pistol. We believe that gun belongs to Mr. Cannon.
Did you say what the punches or blows are called again?
They're called distraction. That's part of our policy, use of force. And they're meant to, you've got to remember, his arm is underneath them. Officers are believing he's armed. What hurts officers and what injures us and kills us is hands. And so we have to secure the hands. And again, what's very important to note, once those hands were secured and once Mr. Cannon was secured, no more force was given. So thank you so much.
Okay, that'll end the conference. Thank you.